You're listening to the InteriorNet podcast, where we explore the people, ideas, and craftsmanship shaping contemporary interiors. Rose, it's so nice to be here with you in this beautiful apartment in London, East London, that you help, you design and styled. I have so many questions for you about this beautiful space, but first of all, I want to ask you about your interior design journey. Where is your first memory, if you can remember, of really thinking about the space, a room? Were you one of those kids that like change furniture around, decorate the walls, or no?
So first of all, very happy to be here. First of many, hopefully, and thank you so much for the
Delighted.
Upcoming amazing questions. I know you'll have a lot of incredible questions. So to answer the first question, or to answer your question, so I wanted to be an interior designer since I was 8 years old.
Love that.
And my story is a little bit funny. So I grew up in the Middle East,
right.
In UAE at the time, from 1999 to 2011. And in 2002, I ever came across an IKEA magazine.
Right.
And so cutting up and collaging the kids' rooms and some of the duvets that they had, and the bunk beds and the tents and a lot of things. And I used to put it on my school workbook. So the teacher one day called my mom and said, get her art supplies, because she cannot collage on her school books. So my mom sat me down and she said, do you like this? Like, this is, and I was like, well, I just want to like do up my room and dream it up. So you were
always quite artistic?
Always. Did so bad in math and chemistry, but did amazing in
Do you remember
art.
The first thing you ever designed?
So my mom used to love antiques,
right?
Which, as a child, I used to think, why would I buy something old?
I used to feel like that. I changed my mind completely now. I love antiques. It's
completely different. Like it's a lot of the things that I do.
Yeah.
But I think one of my first memories designing was actually about like 15 years ago, I'd say.
Right.
Other than the collaging and liking all these little things, and I was like a great arts school kid. Every year in the summer after school, my mom would put me in a art institute, art school for the summer, because she was like the art kid that never got to live her dream.
Right.
So she used to push me.
So you need to thank your mom for
absolutely
your passion for interior design.
100%.
Love that. So you mentioned your heritage, and one of the things I notice on your designs, your beautiful design, is that I feel like your personal style and your heritage comes through. And I think that is a superpower. And I'm shocked that I speak to interior designers all the time, and a lot of them tend to hide their personal style because they feel like it's not about my style, it's about my client's style. And I think that it's wrong. Well, that's my opinion. I feel like your personal style is your superpower, and is the reason why clients come to you rather than the next interior designer. And it has to be very distinctive. What is your take on that?
So there are two approaches. There is in-house signature style.
Yeah.
And there is basically doing whatever the clients want. The second option, which is doing whatever the clients want, generates money. But at some point, it will get to a point where those clients that don't know you as a designer will go for someone cheaper. But I said to myself when I was setting up, if I sacrifice the money or like the fees or the projects and the volume, the first, say, 3 to 4 or 5 years, and I do my signature style, one day when clients come, they want to come because they want to work with me rather than go to someone that will do it cheaper. So I think it's like a long-term plan rather than immediate financial benefit, I would say. So I understand the people that do it because the clients pay the bills, but I also feel like it comes with a lot of passion. I'm so passionate about what I do. And I have to wake up every morning thinking, I love what I do. So, and if I don't implement some of my personality, taste, color palette in that, we're not going to have as much fun. And I'm not going to be giving it 120%.
Absolutely, and I love that. I think that's how it should be. Tell me about how, when you meet a client for the first time, where before you even start talking in details about the project, where do you find the cues or like, how do you understand really your client? If let's say I drop you into a space and the client, like into a house, and the clients are not there, you never met them before, and you have 10 minutes to go around the space, where would you go? Where would you snoop around to understand?
That's a very fun question. If I've never met them and you put me in their house, first thing I'm going to go is their shoe storage,
Love
their
that.
shoe cupboard, and their wardrobe.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even the color palette will tell you so much. Sometimes if they have some classic wear, then you'll know they like a classic sofa. Sometimes their jewelry. It's everything that's personal to them. Also, sometimes the books that they read.
That's a good one.
Whether it's like mystery or fun, is it lighthearted or is it like
very intellectual?
Yeah, very intellectual. Then maybe it's a little bit more muted, or maybe it's a little bit lighter. So
I love that. That's one thing. Even if I meet people for meetings, I try to understand the personality. I always check what they're wearing because I feel like I have a good understanding. Do they prioritize practicality, like top of the shelf, or do they put a lot of thought on what they're wearing?
Piece.
Yeah,
exactly.
Accessories. I think that it's an amazing starting point for sure. I love that. And let's talk about this amazing project right here. We're sitting in the living space. So tell me about this project. How did it come about? What was the briefing? Like, give us some context and details.
So this was actually, you'd be happy to know, this is my first ever project with InteriorNet.
Yay, love that.
I started it in July 2024. And it was for a big family from the Mediterranean. And the main client, who's the father, was buying it for his 3 daughters that study and work in the city. And so it was a mix of styles and palette, because the girls wanted something happy and colorful, and he wanted something a little bit more classic, not a lot of color. So I had to find the balance between the two.
You did that beautifully.
Thank you so much. And the plan to do that was, if we have the bigger pieces in natural materials, timber, neutral fabrics, like the sofa, for example, the beds could be a mix of neutral and soft, and then the layer could be in color, then it would still be eclectic and happy without being too much.
Yes.
So that was the approach, and it was a good one.
Amazing. Tell me the biggest challenge you had. I know obviously we are in East London, in Old Street, and as we know in London, space, very precious, and with that storage.
Yeah.
And did you have any challenges with that? What was the biggest one you had?
So the client wanted storage everywhere. So that was the first main part of the brief. So in every wall, I thought any empty wall, I'm going to fill it with storage. And so we've done concealed storage in the hallway. We've done a lot of storage in the TV unit, a lot of storage in the kitchen, for example. And I think that was like the biggest challenge because no matter how many like joinery pieces you can design, London apartments are still
absolutely
tight. So the few millimeters that you have to think of, or taking a little bit of the architrave. So I think that, but as soon as we got to a plan and we drew everything and we thought, okay, we can make it a reality, that became exciting in a way, because I was like, we had a problem, we found a solution, very like solution-based approach we had for everything. So
Fantastic. Let's talk about budget. Obviously, every project has a budget, and from the biggest one to the smallest one. So tell me about when you are approaching the budget that you were given, and you have to find solution, right?
Yeah,
you need to cut out from somewhere. How do you approach that? What do you do? And most importantly, do you go to the client and say we're reaching budget? I know those conversations are very hard.
yeah. So with this project, we had a generous budget. We had a good budget, but we still had to be considerate and very clever. So there was a lot of layering. So the things that we made bespoke, which are the important things that you use every day, the sofa, the bed, those were like completely bespoke, and that's where we spend the money. Everything else was layering, whether it's like from the 800 piece or the 200 piece, it was just a layering until we met the budget that the client had specified. So that's with this project. But I've had projects that were like 18,000 or 24,000, or I had budget that were 250. And I always say to my clients, if they give me the budget from the start, we're not going to waste any time. But also, and I always say this, taste is something you can buy. Style is something natural.
Absolutely. And I think when you have a small budget, to me, this is where you see the real skill of an interior designer, because everybody can purchase and make things look great.
On expensive.
On an expensive budget. If you know what you're doing. But with a tight budget, you really need to be clever and it's very, very skillful. So I completely understand that. You're quite young, but you've been doing this for a few years now. Do you think the way people live these days, especially after COVID, I feel like everybody needs a home office, and before everything was I feel like the in fashion was having open plans. Now I feel like we are reverting a little bit more to like more closed off space, because people need to have like a meeting room or like an office in the house. What do you think?
So I think before COVID, I used to have a lot of this extra space. I wanted a guest bedroom or a kids playroom, whether now it's like I wanted an office with a sofa bed that turns into a guest bedroom if I have guests over. So we're seeing a lot of offices. But I feel like as much as I miss post-COVID life of everyone getting together and going out and making more of an effort to go out, I think people are now cocooning in their homes a lot more, which for interior designers, it's a lot better, because I feel like clients invest more in those office spaces now.
Absolutely. And like, for example, what you did in here with this sofa, I feel every room now need to have more than one functionality. Before a bedroom was a bedroom. Now it might be a bedroom, an office, a walk-in wardrobe. You try to fit in as many things as you can. Talk to me about this sofa, for example.
This is one of my favorite things to do bespoke to date, because it had a few parts of the brief. One of them was a dual entertaining space, one with a TV and one with a dining area. The second was because of my client's big family, they could have multiple people over and they needed a place to stay. So if you actually remove these large cushions, this becomes a 90 centimeter. Which is a 90 centimeter is a single bed, or like a single mattress. So it had, so I was like, we have to come up with a solution, and it was this. And I didn't want it to be divided, or I didn't want it to feel that it's divided. I wanted it to completely connect the two spaces. And so it's literally connected in like this back here.
That's very clever.
Which is because I wanted it to flow. I didn't want
Yeah.
you to feel like it is disconnected, because that's what the client wanted. And yeah, so we've achieved that. And
Absolutely. Do you ever then turn down a project if it doesn't feel right? If you feel like, okay, the money is good, the money side, the budget, but this doesn't feel me, what would you do?
I have done that a few times, yes. Whether it was the brief, so the client approaches me and with their brief, and I say, send me a couple of photos just to understand. And they send it to me, and I'm like, it's not what we have in mind. It's not something that we do. It's not something that I'm going to be passionate about. And it's always my thought that I could be unfair to the clients if I'm not 100% passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I have turned down a few projects. Or sometimes you meet someone and you think, we're not going to collaborate well. And 9 times out of 10, I'm a people pleaser when it comes to my clients.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just look at someone and you think,
it needs to feel right both ways. And that's why
Yeah.
I feel like probably I launch InteriorNet because I feel like it's very important for an interior designer to just see the brief and understand, is this for me or not?
or not, yeah.
And passive is not. There's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes you want to, like, especially at the beginning, I do understand you want to collect the money and get as many projects as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a mistake. I've done that. Prior to InteriorNet, as you might know,
Yeah.
I was an interior designer myself, and I felt like sometimes I just accepted project for the sake of it. And
Yeah.
in the middle of it, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Can I get out of it?
Yeah.
Because it
I'm
was
the
a
same.
disaster.
Yeah, I'm the same. And I've done that a couple of times, and then I realized I never want a project like that.
Yeah.
Also because it doesn't allow me to focus my energy on the projects that I really like.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if every 3 to 6 months I get a project that I'm happy with, I get up every day doing exactly what I love. And that to me, for the moment, is maybe more or as important as getting money, really, or like making millions of pounds.
Absolutely. Now tell me, this is like a fun question. Tell me the bigger mistakes you have done in a project. Everybody has. And I think
How much time do you have?
Yeah. I feel like nobody ever talks about, everybody talks about the success, but never like, you know, the mistakes. And it can help someone to, like, you know.
Absolutely.
We've all been there.
I mean, for the past 2 years of me setting up a business, I think I had to be very, very careful and meticulous in the detailed, chasing the suppliers and the timelines. Just because as a small business, you don't have the cash flow. So if I make a mistake, I need to compensate the client, I need to reorder a product, I need to make it up, basically. So I have to be very careful the past 2 years. But before that, so many mistakes. Like you overlook, sometimes you send an expenditure sheet to the client, and on the Excel, you miss a couple of tabs.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, you revise it, you send it to the client, they sign it off, you revise it, and you start ordering, and you're like, actually, why are we way over budget? And then I missed out like £4,000. And then I'm like, well, what do? We have to
you have
honor
to that,
we have to honor our promise. It's not the client's fault. So there's like, that's a financial mistake. And there's also on-site mistake. So a lot, one I can think of is I measured for a bespoke sofa before the building was built. It was like shell and core, or, well, maybe not shell and core, but it was just like, they were still having like the electricity box in the room and all of that. And I think I like measured before they completely finished it. So it was like a couple of centimeters off. And that was a sofa that was like a couple of £1,000s that was completely bespoke. And that was a big one.
Again, sometimes when you make this kind of like mistake, especially when it comes to design, you have to then find a solution.
And you never do it again.
Yeah, and you never do it again. And sometimes actually from mistakes, the solution might be better than the original.
And also like, it's so traumatizing as an interior designer, because our industry is about reputation, right?
Absolutely.
So I have to make sure that I look great, my product is great, my service is great. So feeling that sometimes you make a mistake and everyone around you is like, it's fine, it's a mistake, you make it up. But I live with the shame for years.
Of course,
so I never, like, if I make one mistake, I never do it again. Because, yeah, it's just not feasible.
Absolutely, I completely understand. So, Rose, what all the best homes have in common? What do you think?
So a couple of things. The cheesy answer would be the people that live in it.
Yeah.
Because the people actually make it
Yeah.
what it is. And that's whether it's for the classic taste or for the eclectic taste. But also, beautiful homes to me are layered. Mm-hmm. When it's layered with memories, with art, with cushions, with fabrics, with textures, because it feels lived in, it feels soulful, it sings.
Absolutely.
Rather than like something that is uniform, that feels like a hotel, it's a little bit cold. Yeah. Some people like it, but in my opinion and my style and taste, I think more eclectic and colorful and warmer.
I feel like the best spaces I've been in, like homes or even like hotels, they're the ones that feel very curated. Yeah. And also I feel like a room is never finished. You're always going to add, take off, collect, and travel and bring back pieces. And it speaks about your personality rather than, like you said, that feeling. There are a lot of new design have of that showroom space that has been purchased all in one place and has that lack of personality. So I couldn't agree more. Rose, what is your dream project? One you haven't had yet.
So the obvious answer, or something that I've been dreaming for a very long time, is just like a large penthouse with so many rooms. But the actual thing that I crave, other than like a boutique hotel or something that's like cute and curated, is actually a listed building. Because whether it's a listed building, a historical building, something with history, because I feel like the limitation of that and the challenge of that will make it so exciting for me. I don't know if I like limitations and challenges, because it's the same thing with budgets. The tighter the budget, the more I get excited to make it work.
The more creative you get, right?
Yeah, and you just, when you think of a solution around an issue or a way to do something, it's so exciting when it clicks in the mind.
Right.
So
tell me then about your dream client. Would it be someone hands-on or someone that like just give you the space to do whatever you want?
When it comes to well, of course the space to do whatever I want, but I also love working with clients that are hands-on, because we get to visit showrooms, go out, have fun, but it's actually the type of client. Yeah. So someone in the fashion industry would be amazing, because I had a client like that 8 years ago who's now one of my best friends. So that would be like a dream client to get again. Someone that just loves the same things, whether it's like the palette, the eclecticism.
Yeah, that has something in common.
Is this, So doesn't matter the budget. Of course, budgets help, but we need to spend a little bit, not like £5,000. But as long as we're on the same wavelength, then...
How realistic do you think people are about budget? The reason why I'm asking that is because at the core of InteriorNet is to help customers that might not have a very large budget, or they're not very familiar with the interior design industry, and but still want to redecorate whatever is one single room or a whole project. What do you think about that? Because I feel like there is a large portion of people that feel like I cannot afford an interior designer, and the other end is like interior designer is only for the wealthy. But I feel like there's so many, especially this day and age where everything is on Instagram and everybody wants to live in a beautiful space for mental health reasons as well. Yeah. What do you feel about that? How do you feel it's the perception about budget?
It's extremes, right? Yeah. It's like depending on what you want. So some people come to you and they're like, I don't care what you do. I want it for this amount of money and I just want basic furniture. that is done, fine. But it's the more specific, personalized interior design. Personally, I think interior design should be more or less for everyone. Like, it should be accessible.
Democratic.
Exactly.
Good
it
design
should
should
be
be
accessible. Exactly. I'm not a huge believer of like DIY it, because I also think it needs to be personalized, and it needs to also work. And sometimes you can open a Pinterest and take an idea, but the functionality of it, you actually need a professional opinion.
Absolutely. I feel like, obviously, again, with Instagram, you see these beautiful projects, and there is like someone that doesn't have experience in interior design doing like do it yourself. But these are very skillful people. And sometimes when you want to try to recreate that, even like the IKEA wardrobe, and it's a disaster. And then you have to call someone and rectify, and it might cost you 10 times more than like hiring someone to help you in the first place.
That's exactly the point. You hire an interior designer because they will help you, A, save a lot of money, tell you where to put your money and where to save, and also help you avoid any mistakes that always happen when you don't have a professional opinion. Like, this is why we do what we do.
Absolutely. Tell me how InteriorNet helped you in your design journey, like with your projects.
Look, InteriorNet is very close to my heart because for about 6 months before I got my first project, which is this one, I was on other platforms. They were charging a lot of money. And, you know, as a small business, I don't have a lot of cash flow. So it felt a bit deflating. And this was more of a breath of fresh air. And then 3 weeks later, I got my second project through you as well, through InteriorNet.
This was your very first,
yeah,
right?
My first. And then my second one was in Ealing, also for a young family. And then the third big one also through InteriorNet, which I got a few months after my second one. So 3 big projects through InteriorNet. And now I got a couple through word of mouth, actually. But again, thanks to InteriorNet for that push and for that start and for making it really easier and softer for interior designers.
Amazing, love that. Like, interior design like yourself are the reason why we're doing what we're doing. It's been so nice to finally sit down and have a chat, especially in this beautiful project that you have designed. And it was so lovely to get your take and ask you the question and get to know you personally a little bit as well.
I know, we've been talking for 2 years, and then
I
finally met you. Yeah. No, I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and thank you so much for you and for InteriorNet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rose.